Kumar Singh, and I am here with my teammates Srijita, Ghorai, Rounak, Singh to present before our idea on how can we implement the use of IoT sensors for the conservation of our biodiversity. So let's begin. This is our contents, which content biodiversity, its importance of biodiversity, its loss, its conservation, and threats of biodiversity. And secondly, the Internet of Things, which is shortly called IoT, and its working system, and sensors, which contains IoT, its applications and advantages and limitations. And then we will talk about better alternatives, and then finally conclusions, reference, and at the end acknowledgement. So let us know about biodiversity. The variation among living organisms from all sources, terrestrials, marine and desert ecosystems, and the ecological complexes which they are a part. It decomposes the multitude of species genetics variations which each species and different types of habitats and ecosystems that exist across the planet. Let's make it much clearer with the help of a short video.
Biodiversity is a term that represents the total variety of all life on Earth. That's a big thing to sum up. Thousands of different wild habitats, millions of different species, billions of different individuals, and the trillions of different characteristics they all have. The total biodiversity of our planet is immense, which is a good thing, because the more biodiversity, the more secure all life on Earth is, including ourselves. Only when life is at its most varied, vigorous, biodiverse, can we hope to thrive. We may not know it, but we need towering forests across 1/3 of the land's surface to lock away carbon and keep the climate stable. We need millions of pollinators and billions of soil organisms and megatons of plankton to keep the food we eat in supply. We need strange plants deep in jungles to create our medicines, and coral reefs and mangrove swamps to protect the coasts we depend upon. Our planet's biodiversity provides all the things we need for free. But it will only do so if there's lots of it, and at the moment it's under attack.
So let's talk about importance of biodiversity. Biodiversity is the foundation of life and supports the well-being of all species. Biodiversity ecosystem provides a wide range of services which are, firstly, providing services such as availability of food, resources, fresh water, timber, bioenergy and medical benefits. Then regulation service such as mitigations of climate changes and regulations of pests and disease vector. Cultural services such as opportunities for tourism and uh, recreations. Supporting services such as productions of atmospheric oxygen and biomass soil formations of nutrient cycling. Next, biodiversity loss. The loss of biodiversity is an alarming global issue that characterized by the ongoing decline in the variety and abundance of life on Earth. It is primarily driven by human activities and has reached unprecedented level and in recent times. The, there has been an average of 68% decline in wildlife populations since 1970. Almost a quarter of the global total of animals and plant species are threatened with extinction. The extinction rate today is more than 1,000 times higher than the background extinction rate. So it is estimated that near about 0.01 to 0.1% of all species will be extincted each year. So this is a graph showing the exponential increase in extinctions with each passing year. It is estimated that more than 10 lakhs of species will extinct by 2050 at the current rate. Now we present a map of all the recognized biodiversity hotspots which are exceptionally biodiverse regions but also under severe threats of habitat loss and species extinction. Next, we will talk about conservation of biodiversity. There are two types of conservation of biodiversity. Firstly, in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In situ conservation and ex situ conservation are two complementary approaches used to preserve and protect biodiversity. Let's talk about in situ conservation in detail. In situ conservation is the preservation of biodiversity within natural habitat, which include firstly, it protects protected areas which are designated regions where humans' activities are limited to ensure the preservation of native species such as national park and wildlife sanctuaries. Secondly, restorations of degraded habitats, and lastly, biosphere reserves. These are some examples of in situ conservations. And now we will talk about ex situ conservation in detail. Ex situ conservation, ex situ conserv, ex situ conservation is the preservation of biodiversity outside of its natural habitats, which includes conservations of faculties such as biological and botanical gardens, and secondly, aquarium and cryopreservation. And these are some pictures indicating the same, respectively. Now we will talk about threats of biodiversity. This is a graph which represents the threats of biodiversity, which contains some major threats of biodiversity, including habitat loss and degradation. So let's talk about it in detail. The restrictions and alternation of natural habitats due to activities such as deforestation, urbanization, agriculture, and mining. Overexploitation and unsustainable harvesting of species, including overfinishing and exclusive logging, deplete species population. And the other threats is the impacts of climate change, such as changing temperature and rising sea levels, dispute ecosystems. Pollution also plays a major role in the threats. Pollution from various sources, including industrial runoff, agricultural chemicals, and plastic waste, contaminates ecosystem, harms species directly, and disrupt their food sources. Lastly, the invasive species that are introduced to new areas can outcomes a native species for resources and can cause declines in native populations. And at last, the disease outbreaks. In this graph, we can say that the majority part is majority threats are covered by overexploitation and habitats degradation, which are 37% and 31.40% respectively. So my co-partner Rounak Singh will continue the next part. Thank you.
So now I will be discussing a brief into IoT systems or the Internet of Things and a brief into its working. So the IoT or Internet of Things is the interconnection of everyday objects or devices that are connected to the Internet. The potential applications of IoT are vast, and its impact is observed in various industries such as agriculture, environmental conservation, transportation, and healthcare. Now, I will talk about a brief about the working of an IoT system. This is an illustration of a network of fixed sensors. So the first step in the working of an IoT system ecosystem is the collection of data. The IoT devices are embedded with sensors or components which measure physical parameters from the environment and convert them into electrical signals. Often, a system of devices is used to achieve a given functionality. The sensor nodes are often integrated with a processor or a microcontroller which performs computations, filtration, and prepares the data for transmission. The data is then sent over through the chosen communication protocol, which may be Wi-Fi, Zigbee, LoRaWAN, or anything, to a destination, which may be a backend computing system, and then the data is stored in a cloud-based server. The data can then be analyzed and processed using various algorithms and techniques to extract meaningful information. This step involves extracting valuable insights, directing patterns, and making predictions based on the collected data. Now I will be talking about IoT sensors. So IoT sensors are devices that collect data from the physical world and transmit it over the internet to other devices or systems for analysis, monitoring, and control. These are the pieces of IoT ecosystems that bridge the digital world to the physical world. Now I'll be discussing the various types of sensors which are used in conservation. First is temperature sensor. These are devices which are used to measure the temperature of an system. One type of it is the NTC or negative temperature coefficient thermistor, which is basically a temperature sensitive resistor. It measures temperature of a system on the principle of change in electrical resistance according to its ambient temperature and converts it into electrical signals. Next is moisture sensors. Uh, these are devices Uh, these are devices which are used to measure the relative humidity or volumetric water content of a system such as uh, air or soil or any other various materials. One type of it is the resistive soil moisture sensor, which is a solid state device that has two electrodes. Right. That has two electrodes. It measures the moisture levels of the soil based on the change in its electrical resistance according to the volumetric water content in the soil and generates an electrical output signal. Next is position sensors. These are devices which are used to determine the existence, non-existence, speed, motion, or position of an object in its proximity relative to a reference point. One type of it is the PIR or passive infrared sensor, which is made up of a pyroelectric material, which is sensitive to IR radiation. So it detects presence or motion of objects in its proximity by measuring the change in IR radiation radiating from that object and generates an electrical output. Next is sound sensors. These are also known as acoustic sensors or microphones as we know it. So these are devices which measure sound waves from the environment. One type of it is the MEMS or micro electromechanical systems microphone, which is made up of a piezoelectric material. Uh, uh, this device senses sound waves by measuring the mechanical stress exerted by the sound pressure on the piezoelectric material and which deforms it and generates an electrical output. Next is image sensors. These are devices that capture visual information from the environment. One type of it is the CMOS or complementary metal oxide semiconductor sensor, which consists of a large array of phototransistors. It captures visual information from the environment by utilizing the photoelectric effect to convert the incident photons into an electrical output signal. So why should we use IoT sensors? The manual methods of data collection may be inconsistent due to human error. It may be invasive, intrusive, and disturb ecosystems. It can be unsafe and challenging, and it also requires continuous human presence in the field. But these issues can be solved by implementing IoT sensors in conservation approaches. By automating data collection methods. IoT sensors provide consistent data. They are non-intrusive to ecosystems, and they can be used to collect data in hazardous or remote locations with minimum human intervention. IoT sensors in conservation efforts. So by leveraging the capabilities of various sensors, researchers and conservationists can gather accurate, continuous, and detailed data about ecosystems, species, and environmental parameters. By analyzing this data, they can prioritize areas for protection, allocate resources more effectively, and develop targeted conservation strategies. So the various automated data collection methods will be discussed by my teammate Srijita.
Good morning, everyone. So now I will be continuing from biology. So what is biology? Biologging is the process of attaching sensors to animals so that we can track their movement and allow researchers to study that movement, to know about their environmental conditions and how they live in different type of situations. Now this is a camera trap triggered by movement within the detection cone of infrared sensor, and well camouflaged camera traps can be equipped with metal detector sensors to detect poachers. Now we will be talking about automatic weather stations. So IoT enabled weather station help to collect data on climatic factors, and this data will be studied by researchers to predict and respond to natural calamities like drought and their impact on biodiversity. Now, air and water quality monitoring. Sensors help to conserve biodiversity by gathering data on various pollutants and their sources and help to mitigate the effects of environmental contamination. Camera traps and acoustic monitoring. Now, remote sensors are placed in natural habitats along with motion sensors to capture images and sounds, and then triggered by movement, we can use these sound and images to study about species that are hard to track or that are very available in remote areas. Now, this method can be used to prevent poaching or logging. This shows a thermal and camera trap images of the endangered leadbeater's possum and the installation of sound sensors to prevent deforestation by detecting sounds associated with illegal logging. Now these are sound sensors which are used to which are used to implement various conservation efforts. So now we'll be talking about conservation drones. So basically these drones are equipped with high resolution cameras and sensors which collect data to monitor native vegetation and invasive species and helps us to make these species identifiable with others. So what is the advantage of IoT sensors? So basically the advantages of IoT sensors are they help to collect real-time data and automate this data. So this helps to reduce the human intervention. And by doing that, we can reduce the error and we can make the information more accurate. And mostly it's very cost effective, so we can implement it in conservation efforts. Now the limitations of IoT sensors. Now these are mainly battery powered, so there is a chance that we can have to change the batteries frequently and malfunctions can arise. So and there's also a very need of frequent maintenances. So these are the disadvantages of IoT sensors. Now we'll be talking about LoRaWAN. So basically this is a better alternative and it's a wireless protocol which is designed for conservation efforts. So basically LoRaWAN stands for low power wide area network and it's cost effective, energy efficient and particularly used for wireless sensors. So why do we need to use LoRaWAN? Now we have protocols like Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth and now we are implementing LoRaWAN. So basically the range of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and Zigbee, they have a very low range, whereas LoRaWAN has a wide range. And moreover, there is a less chance of interference from other wireless devices in case of LoRaWAN. And it's also much more reliable and there is no need for the change of the battery and so it makes it more efficient. So now we will be seeing a video.
Since
Why we are
2013,
using
Smart
LoRaWAN.
Parks has used state-of-the-art technology to protect endangered species and the environment. Experts in their field, Smart Parks chose Syntec's proven LoRa devices and the LoRaWAN protocol for use in its conservation sensors, allowing the accurate long-range tracking of endangered animals. Innovative LoRa-based IoT solutions have been successfully implemented in several wildlife refuges and have effectively aided conservation efforts and prevented poaching. At Mkomazi National Park in Tanzania, Smart Parks was successful in deploying several LoRa-based tracking sensors directly into the horns of critically endangered black rhinos. The LoRa-1 geolocation network at the park covers 2,000 square kilometers and collects over 35,000 rhino location updates per day. The network has operated successfully since its installation in 2017. In another deployment located in Assam, India, Smart Parks aim to reduce human-elephant conflict. Solar-powered LoRa-based sensors deploy into fences and the roofs of homes. These sensors detect animal movement and automatically trigger an alarm to keep people, property, and animals safe. Since implementing LoRa-based solutions, poaching of many iconic species, including the rhino and elephant, has dropped to zero in monitored locations. As a result, Smart Parks was chosen as winner of the 2017 Human Wildlife Tech Challenge for their efforts in preventing human-animal conflict. Following Smart Parks' first deployment at Akagera National Park in Rwanda, Smart Park solutions have successfully been deployed to monitor wildlife refuges in many countries, including Malawi, Tanzania, India, and Indonesia.
Together, we can create a safe world for the animals we love.
So now we can conclude that basically IoT sensors help to make this conservation effort more easier, and we have seen that there has been a significant rise in the extinction of species. So by using these sensors, we can make a new way by which we can conserve the biodiversity. So here are the references from where we have taken the sources. I would like to thank Sir. Thank you.